Oh, Andoni Iraola, Liverpool's new head coach, taking his first tour of the training facilities and Anfield after the Spaniard signed a 2-year contract to take helm at the club for the upcoming seasons. Now, there's been an article today in The Athletic touching on the inside story of how he came to Liverpool. Did you get a chance to cast your eyes over that? What stood out to you, Stevie?
To be honest, the thing that stood out was the fact that Arne Slot was shocked he got sacked, to be honest with you. Not to take it away from Iraola, but that was the biggest thing.
Because he thought Champions League qualification had been enough to keep his role.
Well, he did, but unfortunately for him, particularly the fans, expect their team to play in a certain way. And in terms of who was available right now, if they wanted to move Slot, Iraola is the perfect guy.
So you're shocked that Slot was shocked?
Aye. We've sat and watched Liverpool all season and see it start bad and get worse and worse and incredibly even worse by the end of the season. And so when you're doing that as a club, the feeling at the club, everybody's down. There's a horrible atmosphere at any club that is not getting close to where they should be. And so he must have felt it, smelt it, walking down the corridors when people don't want you to look you in the eye. Because that's what happens when you're expected to win and you are miles off it. Never mind the way you're playing. You're just playing rotten and losing. So that surprised me. But, as I said, because Iraola was available, it seemed like a no-brainer. Because if Iraola can do what he did with the quality of players that he has at Bournemouth, why would anybody think he can't do that with the quality of player he's got at Liverpool? So, yeah, I honestly think this is a great move. But, as I said, I'm shocked that Slot's shocked.
I'll be honest, I'm with you. I think it's a great move. It's a no-brainer. All the adjectives you're going to use around that. Last week, I think it was, I floated a conspiracy theory of my own that this was done a long time ago. And everybody somehow kind of kept it quiet. Despite the links of Iraola with other clubs, including Leverkusen. The amazing thing to me is how quickly this all happened. That, let's say, and while I'm in total agreement with Stevie, that Iraola is a really good fit for Liverpool, certainly on the face of it. If Iraola had signed with Leverkusen, who's the option? You make this decision to sack Arne Slot, and had Iraola not been available, Xabi Alonso is already signed for Chelsea. Who's the option? And for me, that is the thing that a club of Liverpool's size have kind of let things dwindle as long as they did, and it almost caught them out. Again, in my opinion, as we sit right now, they got the right man, but and I just didn't see that from Liverpool.
Because as go on, go ahead.
I find it hard to believe that Hughes, the connection that Hughes has with Iraola from the Bournemouth days.
In the Bournemouth role.
From the Bournemouth days, there is no question that he would not have mentioned his name. You know, because probably halfway through the season, they'll be looking at what's happened so far, and that question will come up. Well, you know, obviously we expect Slot to turn things around, but if he doesn't, then what do we do? There's no way Hughes hasn't thrown his name in.
Earlier than
that. I think the fact that it's taken so long for us to find out is because FSG didn't really want to get rid of Slot. And I don't think, had Iraola not been available, I think Slot would probably still be in the job.
That was going to be my question. You actually think that would be the case?
Absolutely. Because there's not... If they don't like Alonso, which we believe is the case, there isn't anybody else, really. And so you then are forced to give Slot an opportunity.
You're forced
just because there's no real successor.
You're forced to stick with someone you've lost faith in, and a significant portion of the players also lost faith in. That's.
But you can't get rid of him and bring somebody in that you're not convinced is going to do a good job. That makes no sense. That makes less sense than keeping Slot.
And that's what I'm saying. You know, you've lost faith with Slot. The players, certainly a huge section of them, have seemed to have lost faith with Slot. It worked out by fluke as opposed to design. That Iraola was still available. That he disappeared on holiday when Milan were trying to seal a deal for him.
That Chelsea didn't think he was a good fit,
That
according
Chelsea,
to this
exactly.
article.
And maybe they had their sights set on
Well, the same Chelsea that have had 1,000 managers since this lot took over.
Maybe Chelsea would have preferred Xabi Alonso, but maybe they thought he's going to Liverpool, so we have a plan B type of thing. Right? We're not talking what Chelsea would do, and that's up to them. The thing for me is, it feels like it worked out by fluke as opposed to design. And a club of Liverpool's size, stature, history do not do things by fluke.
Go and talk to Chelsea and Crystal Palace so that it looks legit, and then we'll put you in the role anyway.
No, you buy into my conspiracy theory, Kay. I'm sensing two of you are buying my conspiracy theory.
You need to be on that show that Florentino Perez went on, Unexplained Mysteries.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's where you should be heading next.
Football X-Files.
So we're going to take a look at the departures that we know have gone from Liverpool. Obviously, Mohamed Salah, Andy Robertson and Ibrahima Konate, his contract expiring. He's moving on a free. And so where are your biggest areas of concern that Iraola needs to address, considering how he plays the game as well, Stevie?
Oh, my goodness. I think there's no question Liverpool need all of those that I've suggested here.
So you've suggested two centre-backs.
Well, you need two centre-backs. If we're going to start saying that Van Dijk's getting on a bit, then you need to be able to give him a break then, because we know at his best he's fantastic, but you've got to give him a break. So you need two centre-backs, and you need a right-back. I mean, Arne Slot went through the season probably 50% at least of playing a midfielder at full-back. Now you cannot challenge for the Premier League or the Champions League or anything doing that. You just can't. And there's no question the middle of the park has to be beefed up, and there has to be somebody in there who's going to organise everybody. Liverpool all season in the middle of the park, teams were flying through the middle of them, and I never once remember seeing anybody getting angry. I don't remember anybody pointing a finger at anybody else in the team to tell them either close the ball or be in the right position. They all just seem to let it happen. So somebody dominant in the middle of the park who's going to make sure everybody gets the jobs done and has a bit of steel and stops teams getting at them. And then obviously, when you look at what Liverpool have on their books right now up front, my goodness, you talk about needing attacking wingers, because I'm not quite sure whether Cody Gakpo is going to be A, going to be staying for long, and B, should he actually be starting for Liverpool, considering the season he had last year as well. So Liverpool need two attacking...
A lot of money.
They need a lot of money, yeah.
They need everybody, apparently.
But the fact is that that's what they need. If we're talking about Liverpool challenging for the Premier League and the Champions League, because that's what Liverpool has to be doing, then they need all of that. So they better find the money for somewhere.
Do you have it?
No.
No, he does not. Yes, that is an article over in The Athletic, and no doubt we will continue to talk about Liverpool's needs.